Are you feeling like you're stuck in quicksand, like you can't get out of your past, especially when it comes to dealing with a previous divorce, a relationship, or things like that? No judgment here. We've all been through it. But what if I told you there's some things that I can tell you in this video today that'll actually be able to help you move forward? If you want to know more, I want you to stick to the very end because this can be transformative. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Keanon Slade, and I'm a life coach that helps good guys build a great life outside of the US. Whether that's Costa Rica, like myself, that's where I'm at, or other places around the world. The one thing that you really must realize is that when you're trying to build a new life outside the US, a great life outside the US, you have to realize that it's not just the location, it's not the destination. It's being able to be complete, and part of your completeness is being emotion free from your past. Now, with that said, I want you guys to watch to the very end because trust me, you want to hear the last tip because it's really going to help you get you what you need to be able to move forward and to move on. Let's get started. Point number one, forgiveness as liberation. So a lot of times when we think of forgiveness, we think of it in the wrong way or in the wrong context. I forgive you. Okay, you're allowed to have free access to everything you had before you did me wrong, and yeah, come on in. That's not forgiveness. Or I forgive you so that you can feel better. That's not really it either. Forgiveness is forgiving the other person for you. Because when you hold grudges and you're bitter against a person, it's like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. A lot of times you don't forgive them, and some people don't even know. Somebody cut you off on the street and you're like, they didn't hear a word you said, and you didn't forgive them. And this is definitely true and a lot closer when it comes to your relationship. If your spouse or ex-spouse you're mad with her, and yeah, she knows you're mad, it really is not affecting her life. She might be uncomfortable or whatever. He's mad at me. But really the person that is hurting the most, the person that is creating the most stress, anxiety, and anger feelings towards that person, others, and changing your mood and outlook in life, that's all on you. And so when you think about forgiveness, it's not so much so that the other person can win or so they can, if they were the person that did wrong, so that they can do wrong again. No, you can have forgiveness and yet have boundaries, but you want to be able to forgive so that you can move on with your life. If you don't do that, then your unforgiveness is always tying you to that person. And so you want to begin to change that by starting with forgiveness. Now, I should say this about forgiveness is you're going to need help. And so I would start with Holy Spirit. Ask Holy Spirit to help you with forgiveness, because forgiveness a lot of times is not like, oh, I forgive, I'm done. It's not, forget, yay. No, you want to be prayerfully, you want to be in God's face, you want to talk to the Holy Spirit and ask Him to help you with forgiveness. Honestly, it's the fruit of the Spirit. And so you want to be able to gain that fruit of the Spirit so that you can move on with your life. The next point is be mindful or be present. A lot of times we can't move on, we can't go on with our life, we can't let go, is because we're living in the past. We're good or bad. You're like, oh, I remember the good times, and oh, you're not present. You're in some imaginary world that happened in the past, and probably not, it didn't happen exactly, but okay, we get it, but it's not the present. And this is detrimental then if you're trying to let go. The same thing with the bad. Again, this comes with the forgiveness. If I remember when she did that, and now she wants to say something about the time I did that, you're in the past and you're pulling it all, trying to make it into the present, but you're really still in the past. And so those things are detrimental to you moving forward because you're not letting go. You're not staying present. I've talked about before how we get in thousands and thousands of fights, and I'm probably not exaggerating about the number of stuff that didn't happen or a piece happened in the past and what can happen in the future, and then the what if, because the past, I'm never living in the present. It was like all these things happened in the past, so this part is going to happen in the future. And to this day, none of that's actually happened. And so I was glad that I was able to forgive. And honestly, God told me, if it was not for the Lord, would not have forgiven my ex-spouse. And God was like, call up, forgive her. I was like, I heard beating because I love you. And honestly, it took His strength. So that's the point that I really want to make, talk to God and to forgive. Because God does talk a lot, especially if you read the Bible, a lot about forgiveness. And it's honestly very healthy for you, because when you can forgive, now again, I will repeat, forgive, but you may have boundaries. If that person is toxic or bad for you or whatever, that's not, that you can forgive them. That has nothing to do with forgiveness. You can have your boundaries. You say, I forgive you, but okay, here, this door is now closed. Okay, I godly love you, but this door is now closed. You're not in here. You won't get this information. Here's what we're talking about if we need to talk, which is probably going to be about the kids yeah. And so I might jump ahead a little bit, but I want you to make sure that you're forgiving the right way. I hate to give bad advice where forgiveness means opening everything back up, especially if they're the person that hurt you. Yeah, that's how you want to forgive. And there's more than that, but let's stop right there so that we have time to jump into all the points. So let's get into the next point. The next point, number 3, and it's something that helps you let go, is journal your way to freedom. Now, I was thinking about this as I was putting it down. I was like, man, I don't journal. I realized, man, I journal a lot. Now, I use a tool called Evernote to put a lot of my stuff in. And a lot of times I found myself writing stuff around my thoughts, what word am I using? I wrote my thoughts, I wrote my prayers, I even dictated or just recorded my voice, just writing down my thoughts. I started journaling. And this really happened a lot when, honestly, it had started getting bad. The thoughts were affecting my dreams. So I would wake up with these nightmares and I started recording my dreams. And I don't have those dreams anymore. I had got them out because a lot of those dreams were to the fact that I didn't have control over the things that I wanted to have control over. And I wasn't letting go. This happened in the past and I don't have control, and then this might happen in the future. And so writing those down, and then I'm like, no, here's the answer. It's this. Pray about it. Or I don't have any control either way, but if that happened, then I know which route to pursue. Or I don't have to do anything. I'll just wait. And so I'll begin to be able to write answers to my own fears and concerns. Now, I was going through counseling at the time, so it wasn't like I was only doing this. But yes, these are things that actually help. Journaling that, to my freedom. It really does pay off. Question for you, besides, did you know that sun makes these white things on your shirt? I'm standing in the trees. I said I'm in Costa Rica and I am not lying. And I'm trying to find the nice shady place. But anyway, not the question. Let's get back to the point. The question for you today is, have you guys ever tried journaling to actually help in your journey? And if you have, I want you to tell me what you thought or how you thought the results were. Did you stick with it? Were you consistent? And so put that down there so that we all know and we can share and help each other out. Number 4 would be cutting the emotional cords. This is where we keep tying ourselves back to the relationship. Emotionally, we're tying ourselves back. You're like, oh, I remember when this happened. And this is not just memory, but there's an emotional thing going on with the person. And it can be good, it can be bad. Oh, she makes me mad. Oh, you're tied to that. And you need to cut that. And that honestly I needed help. I had counseling, I had B groups, I had people no, this is not that anymore. Let's cut this. Okay, yeah, this is bringing you back. This is a trigger and it's an emotional trigger. We need to cut this. And so you need to be able to cut that. And so you need to take time to make sure that you're getting healed, that you're actually putting the right steps in place so that you're cutting, so that you're not hanging on. You're not holding on to things in the house that are going to remind you. Now, I'm not saying you got to throw away everything but the couch, but if those things are making an emotional connection to you for some reason, then you probably don't want them always there with you. So be wise about that, or learn how to get over it. You're going to have to make some choices, but somehow you're going to actually have to cut. And so that will actually help you to let go. Don't do things that a lot of times it's like when you're feeling sad and lonely, you start listening to love songs. Yeah, you just made another chord, and yeah, that's not, cut that. Not saying you can't listen to love songs, but there's a time and place, and you need to figure out if do you want to get healed today or do you want to hurt today? And a lot of times we'll choose hurt, but really you need to be getting healed. So be able to cut those emotional cords. And number 5, a goodbye letter. Now, I didn't have, let's say, a goodbye letter, but I had get this crap off my chest letters. A number of again, I fought thousands of battles, and it was like, I'm gonna say this, and and so you might want to actually have a goodbye letter. You want to be able to close, if you will, because sometimes the closing of a relationship doesn't go the way that you want it. And sometimes, even if you're physically going to close it, there's a lot of situations we're talking about. I talk about people dealing with narcissists with partners. There's people dealing with toxics. Those situations, especially if you don't have any kids, you need to close, write it down, probably not have contact with that person. That's best. Now, if you have kids, that's a whole nother story, because you're going to have certain type of contact. If they were abusive, you're going to definitely write stuff down and close it. If you just had a bad relationship that you've tried to repair, she doesn't want to repair, whatever it is, I would still recommend writing it down, so that when you're talking to that person, to that ex, that you are closing it down in a, let's say, systematic way, versus just letting all of your, you end up on this topic, end up on that topic, you never really close down, you just start something else, and which starts an argument because you didn't really think before you open your mouth, I would write it down. A goodbye letter can help. And again, since we're talking about goodbye letters, I'm assuming that you've tried to work out your marriage, and you've sought counseling, you sought B groups, and you don't have any toxic, abusive behavior type stuff, potentially affair type things in your relationship. Those situations are going to be different, which is the reason why we're going to go into the next thing, which is the call to action for you guys. If you guys are in, or think that things are confusing or haywire, or what's the truth, what's the reality anymore, you might want to check out my free ebook that talks about the 7 signs you're with a narcissist, where you're in a relationship where you're on these big highs and big lows, and now you're trying to close it, and then they flip it, and then they be like, they're the good person again, and then you jump right back into it to actually take them down, and just for them to take you down again. Yeah, if you're ended up on that relationship, yeah, honestly, they say that if you're with a relationship with a narcissist, and you're trying to close, you end up going back with them a few times before you really can actually break free. And you want to know the signs ahead of time, so that to seek professional help to help you guard against this. And so with that, if you guys have really resonated with this video, I want you guys to smash that like button. I want you to comment below. I want you to even share. My prayer for you guys is that you guys will actually be able to move on and not dwell on the things of the past. I want you guys to dwell on what good things there are. And even if you were in a healthy relationship that's ending, think positive in a way that you're able to move on and start your life since they're starting theirs. And so I want you guys to be blessed. And until then, I will see you on the other side.